Church. How are you all doing?
Welcome.
Well done for getting up. Well done for being here today. We appreciate it.
Indeed.
So, Sarah Majera, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, I'm well. What are we doing today, Sarah? What are we looking at?
Well, we're moving on in the story of Genesis.
Genesis?
So I don't know if anybody knows what happens next in the story. Maybe you could take a guess.
Or read chapter 3 in Genesis and you'll know straight away.
Or carry on watching and we'll tell you.
No. Multiple options.
I
Cool.
recommend staying and watching.
Well, before starting, let's quickly do a quick prayer and then we'll go. So, Father God, we want to thank you for today. We want to thank you for all the young people that have joined us. Lord, I pray that you will be with us in our homes, that we'll learn something new about you today, and that we'll understand the heart of you and how much you care and love for us. Amen. Welcome to the news of the week!
Hey!
So, Edie, what's your news of this week?
Well, of course, the news house just temporarily because the human toilet broke. Don't know why they don't just poo in the garden. That's more sensible, that is.
So,
Thanks, Edie.
in summary,
Wow.
our news of the week is we've had to temporarily move houses.
Luckily, we have parents.
We do have some parents who will let us move in an emergency situation.
Lovely.
That is exactly why our house is nice. It's not. Anyway, what's your news of this week, guys? Make sure you send us a video. We'd love to see it.
Is
Or
that a video?
just text us, either one. Well, video is
Videos like
something. Okay, so let's see what your news of the week is, guys. Ooh.
Hey guys, welcome to Fun Zone with me, Edie McCready. So, I hear you asking, what are we doing in this Fun Zone and how am I so relaxed? Well, currently I'm counting. Because today we're going to play hide and seek. Because when we look at the story of Genesis, Adam and Eve hid from God. So, makes sense, right? Okay? So, I'm just going to continue to count, and then I'm going to go ready or not, and I will move. Ready or not, here I come! Where are you, Sarah? Sarah! Oh, come on! I think I told you!
Hey, well done!
Now it's your turn.
Hello! Welcome to the section of illumination.
Welcome to you too.
Welcome.
Good to have you here today.
Welcome.
And this
Oh.
trying to rain, trying to snow.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. So what are we looking at today, Sarah? Well, what are we looking at?
Told you, you're not listening.
Genesis 3.
Thank
Genesis
you.
3. So we are looking in a section of the Bible where it says Genesis chapter 3. So looking for the big number 3. So hopefully you've watched the video. If not, stop
Rewind.
and watch the video.
You don't actually have to rewind.
No, you just have to stop and watch the video. That's why I said stop and watch the video. Or alternatively, parents, young people, grab a Bible, not any book, grab the Bible or your kids' version of the Bible, and have a read of Genesis 3. I'd recommend try doing both if you can, because it's always worth reading from the Bible. So, if you watch the video, you'll have seen how God created Adam and Eve. He created a wonderful garden where they were to live, they were to look after the animals and everything around. And actually, God said they could do loads of stuff. He said there's only one thing which I ask you not to do, and it's to eat from the tree, which is the knowledge of good and evil. The one thing. Everything else you can do.
All the fruit they're allowed.
Everything else you're allowed. He said you're just not allowed to eat it.
Doesn't sound too hard, does it really?
No, it doesn't sound too hard, but it was apparently.
It's
It was
like
tempting.
you can have all of those chocolates,
The one.
but just not that dairy milk.
Mm.
I want it so much!
Exactly. Anyway, so time goes on, and then you find this serpent in the video. He had arms and legs, and it says,
Not
"Oh, are you not allowed to eat from every tree?" And then Eve says, "Oh no, we are allowed to eat of every tree, just not one." But here is something she got a little bit wrong. She said you're not allowed to eat from it, correct? But she added to what God said. She said you're not even allowed to touch it, which was, oh no, already a little bit of a mistake from her because she's making her life even harder. Anyway, one thing leads to another. She eats a little bit from that tree. Was it an apple? Was it a pear? Was it an orange?
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
Grapefruit.
Well, do oranges grow from trees? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they?
Small trees.
Small trees. Little shrubs. Anyway,
Who knows?
that's what happens. They eat, and then, all of a sudden, as soon as they eat this, they then realise that they're naked. I said the word naked. How rude.
But they felt a bit embarrassed.
They felt very embarrassed, and they felt, the video says they felt shamed because they were naked. They realised for the first time they were naked. Anyway, because of this, they then sewed up some stuff to cover them up, and then God starts walking in the garden, and they hear God walking in the garden, and then because they feel ashamed of them being naked, they then hide away from God. They're ashamed of being naked, which is also ashamed that they ate from the tree, because that's where that came
I think
from.
they were also a bit scared.
They were.
Told off.
And then, anyway, they hid from God, which is kind of funny, because obviously you can't really hide from
Can't
God.
hide from God. It's like,
And
you
then-
can't hide from me, Dave.
No, you
She'll
can't
always
hide from me.
find you.
She will always find you. Anyway, and then God says, guys, where are you? Adam, where are you? Anyway, then Adam stands up and says, I'm over here. And he says, oh, I was just ashamed because I was naked. And then in the video, obviously, God says, well, who told you you were naked? And then Adam, one thing he does here is, instead of saying, whoops, I ate from the tree,
Sorry.
instead of owning up, he goes, it was her fault. Her fault. It was the woman. Anyway, so instead of just going and goes, oh, I'm really sorry, straight away blaming somebody else. Never a good job.
Very rude.
Very rude. Then God says to Eve, what did you do? And then guess what she does? She then passes on the blame as well to the serpent. Anyway, and then one thing leads to another. And then God says, because you've done what you've done, you can no longer live in the presence of me. You can no longer have this relationship where we can talk face to face, like I'm talking with Sarah right now. Hello, Sarah. And that's really, really sad. And in this video, in that story, the whole message behind it is simply that we as people have unfortunately done things that God didn't want us to do. God asked us not to do. So Adam and Eve ate from that tree. And then I know I've done things where God says, Sam, don't be mean to people. And I've been mean to people. Honour, obey, or honour your father and mother. Listen to them and treat them well. And I don't always do that. I don't know about you, Sarah. I don't know if you've got a list of many things you've done wrong. I'm sure there is numerous.
Sounds like you do.
And God says, just please don't do these things, because if you do a single one of these things against me, you can no longer live in my presence. You can no longer know me and connect with me. And just like Adam and Eve was sent away from the garden, we have been sent away from God because of the things that we've done wrong. But there's
Sounds quite sad.
It is very sad, but there's really good news in that story.
Oh, okay.
Because unfortunately in the video it didn't say it. But at the end of chapter 3, God says this. He says to the serpent, the one who misled Adam and Eve, he says, the woman is going to give birth to a son. You're going to bite his heel, but he's going to stamp on your head. Brutal, I must say. If you haven't stood, stamp now. Stamp on the stubborn head. And that is a word which we looked at a while ago called the word prophecy, which is a foretelling of something that's going to happen. And that word there, it's a promise. Yeah, it's a promise which God was saying, actually, you've done this, but I'm gonna kind of come back and I'm gonna make things right.
So is it about Jesus then?
It is about Jesus. It's about Jesus.
That makes it all better, doesn't it?
And so even though at that point humanity did completely against God, God said, I've still got your back. I'm still going to look after you, and I'm still going to chase after you. And in that promise, he's saying, you don't need to be ashamed. You don't need to be, you don't need to hide. You don't need to be guilty for what you've done, because I've sent my son who stood on the head of the serpent so that me and you can find forgiveness. And what's beautiful about forgiveness is we completely get a clean slate. I don't know if you've ever...
Every single time?
Every single time. I don't know if you've ever made a mistake.
Sorry.
That's not okay.
Does it work like that?
No, it doesn't work like that. But it's like when you write something on paper and then you get the rubber, you've made a mistake and then you just rub it out. That's what Jesus has done for us. Whenever we make a mistake, he rubs it out, completely goes away. And I want to encourage you today, guys, that you don't need to feel guilty and shameful for the things that we've done wrong if we come to God and say, Lord Jesus, please forgive me for the things that I've done wrong. But we have to mean that in our heart, and we have to believe that when we say that, Jesus completely takes everything that we've ever done wrong because he died on that cross. So what I want to encourage you to do today is, if you've never ever said that a prayer where you're going, God, I pray that you will forgive me for the things that I've done wrong. Jesus, I want to hand over every single thing. From this moment, I want to live for you. I want to encourage you, parents, to talk through this with your kids. And if you would like to, what is beautiful is today we can come to Jesus for the first time. If you've never done it before, and if you've done it before, you can come to Jesus and say, please forgive me for the things that I've done wrong, and I want to follow you. And what's beautiful is he will accept you as you are today. So, thank you very much for listening, guys. Bless you, and I will see you on the flip side of this video.
Why I've got so much fruit, Sam.
Why have you got so much fruit, Sarah?
Well, Sam, it's for today's Huddle Time activity.
What is today's Huddle Time activity?
Well, we were thinking about what we could do, and obviously our minds wandered to fruit.
Because of the forbidden fruit.
So my thought is, we could all make fruit salads. Hopefully you've got some fruit. If not, it's going to be a bit boring. Or, the other cool thing you can do with fruit, you might probably never done this because you don't do crafts. If you cut your fruit in half, get a bit of paint, you can do like fruit stamping. So you know, if you don't like to eat the fruit, you could create with it, or you could make them into like little animals out of your fruit.
So you've given 3 ideas.
Or come up with your own fruity idea.
Fruity idea. So the 3 ideas were what, Sarah?
Make a fruit salad.
Definitely the version I'd go for.
Make stamps out of your fruit. Specifically, if you cut your apple in half and then you splat. Or create animals out of your fruit.
Carve them.
No, like stick smiles on it, draw a face. Drawing on bananas is very satisfying. If you've never done that with a biro, give it a go.
So there you go, guys. 3 fruity ideas.
Keep you busy.
Bless you guys. Oh! Before we go, I must say, next week, join us for our first ever live version of this. Over Zoom. We'll be sending out a link later.
Ooh!
Make sure you get your attention. Bless you guys. Look after yourself. And Sarah, enjoy that.
Have a fruity day.